just 1 mile north of I-94 at exit 295. Learn more at waukeshagunclub.org. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, mainly clear and cool, a low of 54 at the lake, 50 inland. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy, and warm, a high of 80. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Kevin Murat here from Mentality Men's Health. We hear stories every day in our clinics that what used to work for guys doesn't anymore. Increase cardio, cut out certain food, nothing stops the changes in their bodies, especially the weight. The fact is, years of decreasing testosterone has packed on the belly fat that won't go away. We've introduced a medication, semaglutide, that helps drop 15% of the body weight on average while preserving testosterone. Join the over 20,000 Mentality clients and jumpstart your results. In Milwaukee, go to lowtusa.com. That's lowtusa.com.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. That's right, folks. Great Lakes Dragway's 2023 race season is in full swing. Come out to see our annual events like Memorial Day Weekend, Labor Day Weekend, Nitrous Streetcar Brawl, Import Wars, Larry's Fun Fest, and Bug Fest. Looking for something new and exciting? Come see the Night of Fire Jet Show. Want the track all to yourself? Email or call about a private track rental. Go to GreatLakesDragaway.com for contact information and our full season schedule. Great Lakes Dragaway, just a burnout west of I-94 on County KR. Be there.
This is Ben Brust. Hear me every day on KBN from 2 to 5. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD, Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station. It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from Maddie's Bar and Grill in New Berlin, alongside former Packer Brian Bulaga. Here's Emmy Award winner Homer.
We are not at Maddie's Bar and Grill. We might be there again at some point. It'd be nice. Probably have a big crowd there tonight as you have Thursday Night Football. The Eagles against the Minnesota Vikings. My guy says take over on the passing yards for Cousins. This is the best 60 minutes of your life. Oh, I love that. I'm Homer. He is the doctor of the NFL, Brian Bulaga. No one calls him that but me, based on my understanding of his incredible dedication to try to figure things out. The man felt it necessary to watch the Bears-Packer game a second time. That would be similar to being on the Titanic, surviving, and then feeling like you needed to watch a replay of the Titanic. Some things I wouldn't think you need a second viewing, given the magnitude of the whooping the Packers put on the Bears. But I'm not Brian Bulaga, so only he can explain, and I think he probably did so. We can move on. Anything
but
you would...
Good evening. But good evening, Homer.
Yeah,
good evening.
I never do that. Just you can do that. I never do that. I don't see the point. Once they tell me Bulaga's up, ready to roll, that's good. Now, if you want to tell us anything about your personal life, good day, bad day, that's fine. But be aware I'm not going to ask. 25 years ago, people would call in and then you were to ask them, so how are you doing? And I said, I'm not doing that. I don't care how they're doing. Why should I ask? People just use that as an introduction to feel comfortable. I said, I got a show. Then actually the show was an hour. I'm not wasting time asking how you doing. So it'd say, Brian, what do you got? And then go right to that. And then they called me in and said, you can't do that. People think you're being mean.
Oh.
So.
Well, I mean, it could come off as a little short. You know what I mean? It could come off as a little short.
Yes. Short because I'm the only one willing to say, I don't really care how you are. And I don't think you care how I am. Now, if something's at issue that needs to be taken care of, we'll be there to help you. Like I'm trying to get you to get your college degree.
No, here we go. Here we go.
No, hold on. We're not going. I'm just telling you this. I don't know how many credit hours you need. I will match your credit hours and get a master's.
Wow.
Equal to the hours that you take. Now, if you need 60, I'm not taking, I don't know how many hours you need, but if it's reasonable, I will not ask you to do that unless I would be willing to do the same and get a master's, and I don't know what it would be, either finance or theology. I'm not sure which. But I will not ask you to do the hours unless I am willing to do the same. I suspect that probably won't change anything other than that your mom will like me more, but I did want to throw that out.
I'll consider that, but it's going to be one of the last things I consider. I not right now. I'm not considering it right now. We'll just put it that way.
How are you so busy that you can't do it?
Kids are busy in sports, got activities every night.
Oh, you're not going to every one of their events and taking them to. Oh,
of course.
No,
of course.
no,
of course.
No.
Yes. Yes.
You want them to think that the most important thing in their life are their sporting events? You need to miss some. You need to have someone else take them. You need to have something else going on. Then you'll find out, one, they will tell you what happened, and some kids really like to do that. And you'll actually find out if they want you to be there. What if you find out your kids don't want you at the games? Now what are you going to do, Dad?
That's a good question. But, to my defense, I wasn't there for the first 3-4 years of everything they were doing growing up because I was at practice and work.
How'd they do?
To my knowledge, pretty good.
Yeah, I rest my case.
To my knowledge, they're doing all right.
Wait, do you know why? You know what's the only one thing has changed between then and now? You know what that is? You're available. But did you actually ask them if they'd like you to come?
That hasn't been a question that I've asked. I haven't asked that. I just kind of assumed. Oh. I would assume that my kids would like their father at their events. I just assumed.
Okay, all right. All right, let's move on to more important things. Where were you when you discovered that Aaron Rodgers' season was over?
On my couch watching the game, and it was wild because right when the tackle happened, I remember looking over at my wife and I told her, I go, that's an ankle or an Achilles right off the get because of the mechanism and how he got landed on. And then he popped up and she goes, oh, he's all right. And then he went right back down. And I go, that's an ankle or an Achilles. No doubt.
Explain, Dr. Bulaga, how did you know that?
Well, when Leonard Floyd was kind of wrapping his body around Aaron and a lot of the weight was on the back of Aaron's, ankle, foot area, and he was trying to push out, and the only thing that got trapped underneath were really his feet, and then you saw him try to pull away and then just went straight down, and you saw him lay on the ground right away. The mechanism of it just screams, and you couldn't tell right away from the angle. You didn't know if the ankle rolled underneath or how it got trapped, but you kind of had an eerie feeling that that's what it was going to be right when you saw it happen, and unfortunately it was the latter, the one that you needed surgery on.
Do you believe that it is the result of his calf injury, or if there's any connection whatsoever?
I would say probably not. I don't think so. I remember in 2014, he popped his calf when we were in Tampa before the playoff run, and he kind of dealt with that throughout the playoffs. He might have hurt it again a few years later, but I don't think it had anything to. I don't know for sure, but I can't imagine it did. You see the size of those calves on that guy. That guy has some. I haven't seen a better set of calf size. Chad Clifton, to be honest with you, Cliffy had some big old calves. But I can't imagine that if there was a risk to the Achilles with knowledge of that hey, if you get put in an awkward position, which can happen, it's the NFL, it's a game, you're the quarterback, you're getting chased after, that your Achilles is going to go. There's no way they would put him out there knowing that for sure. So I can't imagine that they knew hey, because, you're at risk right now to pop this Achilles. I don't think so.
As a player, what is the emotion of injuries? Does everybody just know everybody's going to get hurt and you just hope you're lucky and you don't? Is there an incredible sadness when you see incredibly talented players whose lives are changed because they get injuries? What's the reality of the locker room and injuries?
Yeah, the reality is that everyone's going to get hurt, right? It's 100% chance that everyone is going to get hurt at some point in their career. probably the most realistic statistic in the NFL that at some point you're going to get hurt. Now, whether that requires surgery or X, Y, and Z, who knows? But I know personally, obviously having it happen to myself and seeing my teammates that have gone through it, because you're friends with those guys outside of the locker room, right? And you build relationships with them and their families and things like that. It hurts you a little bit, personally. It's not just, hey, man, this stinks that we lost so-and-so for the year and he's got to have surgery. That's your buddy. That's someone you go to work with every day. You spend time with them. So it cuts deeper than just seeing it, someone gets slapped on IR for the year. So it's a tough spot mentally in the locker room for guys just because of personal relationships that go with it. And the struggle that's going to come with it after, right? Not only for your team, but for that person personally with the rehab and the mental grind of that and trying to get their body back and the feeling that those guys have. I mean, again, because I've been there many a time, when you get hurt, you feel like you're letting down your buddies and your team and then a fan base. So it hurts, you know what I mean? And you feel for those guys when that happens.
Worst injury that you've ever witnessed or experienced, and it doesn't have to mean that it was the worst to see. Anybody my age, the worst that the first horrible one was Joe Theismann.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the one that
the one that sticks out to me was to Derek Sherrod in Kansas City in 2011 when he broke his leg, when Tamba Ali swung into his leg when he was pass blocking and snapped his leg. That was hard because it was a nasty injury, right? And whenever someone has to get taken off that way on a cart or a stretcher because of a broken bone that they can't even put weight on, and I mean that it's hard to see. And then seeing the surgery and what he went through and how it affected him, not only once he recovered technically, just to see how it impacted his movement afterwards, right? You're never the same after that. Like there's just no way you can be the same. And unfortunately for Derek, if you were to ask him, that'd probably be what he would say. But that was probably the worst one that I've seen on field in my career.
And this, I could tell you my own personal story, not me personally, of someone in my hometown that was going to be one of the greatest athletes ever and blew his knee out in ninth grade, and his life was changed and ended. He couldn't. But my question to you is, who in all your experience, and it could be at any level, just suffered the most from injuries where, Homer, you have no idea how good this person was or could have been or was if not for the injury or injuries they suffered?
So a guy that I look back to University of Iowa, Tony Moyeki. He did have a run in the NFL. He was with the Chiefs. He was with the Bears for a little bit. But Tony was a absolutely freak athlete, amazing tight end at the University of Iowa. But I swear, every turn he made, an injury would pop up. His knee, his back, an ankle or something like that. And I always felt like he was never playing even at 70%. Like he was always at 50% or less playing. And he still was really, really good. Obviously, he was drafted and played in the league for multiple years. But like I just felt like he never could catch a break injury-wise. He was always nicked up. But then he'd go out there and battle it out and played really well. But if I had to think, he was the one guy because it was always – like, oh, Tony had a good stretch. He's churning along. Camp's going great, and then bang, would get hurt, would be out, would come back, play, something else would happen, and I just felt like he could never be 100% like at any time, and he still played really, really well to boot, which is crazy to me.
Talking with Brian Bulaga, we do this Monday and Thursdays in the NFL with the Packers or with another team, someone who it's just unfair when you think of how good they might have been or would have been if not for the injuries. Anybody jump to mind?
NFL, I'm trying to think. Or the Green Bay Packers. The thing that I always saw too in Green Bay was one guy that, got a second deal in Green Bay, but then just almost never was able to consistently put a run together. And I thought he was really talented, was Nick Perry, outside linebacker. Really strong, powerful defensive end, good hand. Like he was a really good pass rusher. And I felt like anytime you saw him, he had a club on his hand or an ankle or something like that. I felt like he could never catch a break either, kind of with those injuries that obviously impact the defensive end. If you have to wear a club on your hand as a defensive end, I don't know how you're going to rush the passer. That's going to be hard to do. So Nick would be a guy that kind of comes to mind. And always wondered if Nick was always healthy, how many sacks a season would that guy have averaged? I'd imagine quite a bit, because he was a really good rusher, really strong. But if I had to, in my time there, that's who comes to mind for me.
How much did your injuries change your level of play or your career? Or do you say, I was about average. I got hurt about as much as players normally did. Where do you assess injuries relative to your career?
Obviously, I've had, they're well noted, and it is what it is. The ACL in 2013 during family night, that was unfortunate. That was going to be my first year moving over to left tackle, right? Like that was all training camp. I was playing left tackle, and I was having a really good camp, and that happened. And then I rehabbed it. That went really well. Moved back to right tackle because obviously Dave filled in. Had a great season after that. That next season, I popped the meniscus in my left knee during practice, getting ready for the Seahawks. I think it was week 2 I did it. That's the one that probably hampered me the most, especially that year. Taking out 50, 60, 70% of the meniscus on the medial side. I mean, it's hard to bounce back from that. And I only took about 2.5 weeks off and came back and played against the Chargers before the bye week. Then I tore the ACL in 2017, the right ACL. I felt like I bounced back from that one really well the following year and whatnot. And then once I got out to LA, the back is what kind of started a lot of the problems. And then I had the core muscle surgery that I never bounced back from. I still have pain in that today. So I never felt like any injuries in Green Bay really held me back career-wise or ability-wise. I thought I was a pretty diligent worker in the rehab department. When I did get hurt, I put everything into it. It was hard some days. It wasn't fun some days, but I knew I needed to get back out there. I needed to play. I needed to push through things, especially when little injuries came up throughout the season, torn MCLs or X, Y, and Z. I always try to just do my best to kind of gut it out, tape it up, brace it up, do what I needed to do to go back out and play. And you play games hurt, and you may not be at 100%, but you go out there and do it to the best of your ability because there's 10 other guys in the huddle relying on you to do it.
Brian Bulaga, quarter 2 coming up. Your questions, 1-800-990-3776, because, yes, he wants to interact with you. And we will get to artificial turf. Quarter 3, at the request of Brian Bulaga, will include Jason Wilde. Second quarter, the Homer Hour. Brian Bulaga, next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
An accident 94 eastbound on the right shoulder at 84th Street going to be causing some headaches. Got some cars on the left shoulder as well. So watch for the delays coming through the zoo interchange to that point, and delays continue all the way through the stadium. The westbound side of 94 backing up out of the Marquette all the way to about Hawley Road. Southbound 43, a slow ride from Silver Spring all the way down through the Marquette onto 4394 and southbound on 41. We're seeing backups from just before Silver Spring all the way down to about Burleigh. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, mainly clear and cool, a low of 54 at the lakefront, 50 inland. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy, and warm, a high of 80. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Football Guy.
Just as long as they're 18-wheelers that are full of inventory, don't jackknife on the highway, then everything will be fine.
Football Guy.
Why would you put that out in the universe? Why would you do that?
You psycho.
Yeah, you psychopath. It's not healthy, Jason. What are you doing?
Coming at it from different views.
Come on.
I'm a psycho and a moron.
Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Also sponsored by Coors Light. Weekdays 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. If you're hosting a football party or heading to Green Bay or Madison for the game and a tailgate, we'll help you with your beverage game plan. We are your football party beverage headquarters. Whether you need an ice cold keg, a bottle of your favorite wine, a unique craft brew, or hard-to-find liquor, we have everything you need, all at the lowest prices in town. Come see us today at 51st in Oklahoma and Milwaukee, and on Barstow and Maine in downtown Waukesha. Voted best liquor store again.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings.
We'll get you all set up with your favorite beverages for your football party and save you a lot of money. Open daily 9 to 9 and Sundays 10 to 2. Family owned and operated since 1960. See all of our weekly specials at DiscountLiquorInc.com.
Discount Liquor.
Change your grocery game plan to locally owned Century Foods, home of the best meat, freshest produce, and tastiest treats. Now through Wednesday, save on 8.2 to 16.5 ounce selected varieties Hostess snack cakes, 2 for $6. 3-count box selected varieties Pop Secret microwave popcorn, 2 for $5. 100 to 144.5 liquid or 42-count packs selected varieties Arm & Hammer laundry detergent, $8.99. 9 to 10 ounce selected varieties Green Giant steamed vegetables, 2 for $4.
Let's see, spices, cardamom, hibiscus powder. It's like looking at Green Bay's roster right now. I don't recognize it, but I'll learn to love it.
Attention Century shoppers. You're going to love this opportunity. Win 2 tickets to see Green Bay play Kansas City on December 3rd, autographed Packers footballs, or 4 packs of Hall of Fame tickets.
I'd love to see Green Bay's new QB in action and win those tickets. What do I do?
Find the weekly code on Century's Facebook or Instagram and enter to win.
Love it. Getting the Century code on Insta right now.
Ends November 14th.
Brian, why are you stacking books on the floor?
I want to stand while I work. Standing desks are all the rage these days.
Well, it's a good thing that these desks move up and down. You did know that, right?
What? They do?
Yeah, we're not messing around here.
This is great. Now, only if I had a chair to swivel around in.
Do you just not pay attention to everybody else's desks?
Well, no wonder I'm not getting much done these days.
Coakley Brothers and Brothers Interiors, the official moving and furniture provider of GKB Milwaukee. This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Quarter 2 with Brian Bulaga coming up. And again, I tell you about Fisco, the auto body place, so you'll like them and then you'll like me. Yes, you'll like me. This is how it works. You learn about Fisco Auto Body. You go there. They're fantastic. On Forest Home in Franklin. How can they be this good? It's a family business owned since 1931. It's not what they do, it's who they are. So by the time they've been doing it for you, they've been doing it so long, they can't tell you how easy it is to be that good. You go there, wow, Homer, they're really good. So you thank them, and then you say, thanks, Homer. It helps my reputation. I admit it. Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home in Franklin. Fisco, to remember the name. The music is done? Oh, wow. That's true. All right, talking with Brian Bulaga, we get to artificial turf because David Bakhtiari felt like the injury to Aaron Rodgers was artificial turf. I think it's garbage because the artificial turf is better now than it's ever been, and I believe they just put in new artificial turf where the game was played this year, and that was like the first game. So I'm sure it's not as good as regular grass, but it's way better, closer than it's ever been. Dr. Bulaga, the professor of football, is not as old as I am and may not remember the original artificial turf was cement with a little carpet on top of it. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know the worst you ever played. The worst artificial turf, probably early in your career.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all bad, to be honest with you. I don't think there's a single artificial turf that's good. I think it's fake. Obviously, it's fake grass. They're trying to mimic something, and whenever you try to mimic something, it's bad, right? Like you shouldn't be mimicking things that with plastic and rubber and things of that nature. There is no doubt in my mind that the players' union and guys like Bakhtiari have every right to go after these teams to put grass in every stadium. Because if you were to poll every NFL player, former and current, and even these college kids.
So
coming in,
what's the worst part? What's having
played on? Well, first, now, should you credit the turf to Aaron's injury? Not totally sure, but it sure looked like the front of that foot got stuck in the turf, and he wasn't able to move it, and there was no give. On grass, normally gives, right? Your foot would give or something, the turf would slide out when you put that much pressure on it. On the turf, it does not do that. I would notice during walkthroughs, right, in Green Bay when we'd be on the indoor and you would just do a simple walkthrough on it. You'd go back in the locker room after, and your body, you would feel it just standing on it, just moving on it lightly, let alone playing on it. Hence why Green Bay does such a good job now, especially in the winter, clearing off the back fields that do have coils underneath it so they can practice on the grass, because the turf beats your body up tremendously throughout a season. Then to play games on it full speed, you walk off that field feeling like a train wreck, right? I mean, it wears on your body, it grinds on your body, your joints. I mean, you feel everything, and that is not the way you feel after you get. I mean, you have your normal aches and pains after playing an NFL game on grass. Obviously, like it's the NFL, you're going against large minute, high speeds. That's understandable, but you feel a different way after getting done playing on turf. And I don't care what statistic the NFL throws out there or what Roger Goodell says, turf is not better than grass, and every stadium should have grass.
Well, we know it's not. The question is, how much worse is it? Is it not, though, accurate to say that the artificial turf is getting better and better?
I guess you could say it's getting better and better.
Well, no, you don't have to. You played on it. Maybe it didn't.
I don't think it ever did.
Okay.
I really don't.
Right.
And then for, the fact that the defense of it, it's brand new turf. Sometimes that's even worse. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when it's brand new and it's super tight and you get gripped in it so much, it's even worse than what it is when it's worn out a little bit. And there's still a little bit of you get a little give when it's worn out. There isn't a turf that I remember playing on that I went, man, that was really good turf. Just it never happened. Always grass. I mean, I'd rather play on the best, or I would rather play on Soldier Field when it was at its worst, right? When the grass was tall and it was junky and it looked terrible than what people would say the best turf is. Any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Oh, how about this? Tabasco Man sends me a text. Well, then maybe Bakhtiari should not play in Atlanta. Maybe he should not play on any artificial turf.
Okay, well, that's going to be a little bit difficult, right? Because Minnesota, Detroit, Atlanta.
Well,
I mean, guys don't get to pick and choose where they play based on surfaces. I mean, you can't do that. You got to go out there and do it.
Wait a minute.
Right?
You have a guy who's not practicing. You're so concerned about injuries, he's not practicing, right? Or maybe he can only play on one. He can play on artificial turf 1 week, but not 2 weeks in a row. I don't.
That's a personal deal. That's not my deal. I just knew when we had to go on turf games, I knew that the following week, my knees, my back, my ankles would be bad for I would feel it probably till Friday.
All right, so now you're the GM, and you know Bakhtiari. You're a very smart GM because you're a former offensive lineman. So you know his condition, which is clearly bad enough that he's not even practicing, right? I mean, he's not practicing so he doesn't get hurt, correct?
I think they're practicing to make sure he's ready to roll on Sunday.
So would you play him in every artificial turf? Would you play him less but play him only a certain number of steps? Would you not play him 2 weeks in a row? Or you would change nothing and think that not practicing would be helping him enough that you'd say he's okay on artificial turf? You're the GM.
Yeah, I think he's rolling, right? Like, if he's able to play, he's rolling, right? Like, and then you have to do what you need to do throughout the week to try to recover his body as best as you possibly can, right? So whatever he would need throughout the week, you got to do it. And there's unfortunate times where you do got to play those back-to-back games on turf, and it's rough. It's not fun. I can assure you, but the fact that he's not practicing, I think they have a plan in place, and I think the plan, when we saw it week 1, has been good, really good. So I think they're going to continue with that plan.
So if you were in a position of power, the first thing you would do among all the issues in the NFL is you would make sure you would say immediately every stadium will use natural grass. That'd be the first thing.
That would be my first line of business.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
That would be my first line of business. I would make sure all these stadiums, because, Homer, it's really funny, and Dave's brought it up. I've even brought it up. It's funny how these stadiums that are artificial turf, but they will bend over backwards to host World Cup games and put in grass for those guys because it's required by FIFA that their guys play on grass, and the NFL owners that own these stadiums will bend over backwards to make sure that international soccer players have a playing condition and surface that are good to play on. But when it comes to their own investment, their own players, we want to be able to have concerts in here. We want to make sure Taylor Swift can come in and have a good concert. So we want to be able to roll this turf off so she can have her concert. It just makes no sense. So I would make the owners pony up, put in grass, and you figure out the logistics after that of how you're going to take care of it. And if you want to have a concert, you need to figure that out.
I'll join that club. Next quarter, third quarter, Brian Bulaga and Jason Wilde. Next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Eastbound on 94, an accident at 84th Street. It's got cars on the left and right side, so going to be slow there, and that continues heavy all the way through the stadium interchange. We've also got on westbound 94, right about at the stadium interchange. As a matter of fact, the ramp to get onto northbound 175 is partially blocked with an accident there, so just watch out for that. The rest of the system, southbound on 43, backed up from Silver Spring pretty much all the way down through the Marquette onto 4394. It's 43 minutes to get from Brown Deer Road into downtown, another 12 to get from downtown to Layton Avenue. Traffic is brought to you by Evans Transportation in Delafield, where they provide customized logistics solutions to keep you and your business moving forward. And check out the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, mainly clear and cool, a low of 54 at the lake, 50 inland. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy and warm, a high of 80. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Looking for a totally rad flavor adventure, brochachos? Look no further than Surfer Boy Pizza as seen in Stranger Things. Each mouthwatering variety contains rich tomato sauce, delicious mozzarella cheese, and a gnarly range of toppings. The crust is crispy on the outside and airy on the inside. You'll think it was hand-tossed by the Surfer Boy Pizza dudes themselves. Look for it in the freezer aisle at your local store and buckle up your taste buds with Surfer Boy Pizza.
They say seeing is believing, and when you see what's inside at American Place Casino, you better believe you're gonna love it. Because when it comes to amazing gaming, we're a real game changer. With the most exciting of table games like blackjack, craps, and roulette, the newest slots, a sportsbook, restaurants, bars, and more. So if you're ready for excitement, we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game.
Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
AccuRite Tax and Financial Services has Toshiba copiers and network printers from James Imaging Systems. President CEO Jason Rose.
We have 17 different tax preparers on staff, and we have 4 printers running pretty much nonstop. And during tax season, it's absolutely crazy.
And Jason, those printers from James Imaging Systems have to work just as hard and reliably as your people do.
Oh yeah, yes. If something comes up that's an issue, we have somebody that we can call that can help us resolve the issue very quickly and efficiently.
Reliable printing, reliable service. That's a good thing.
That is a good thing. That helps tremendously keep us being productive, keeps those tax returns going.
Jason, bottom line for your practice?
Happy clients, happy workers, happy me.
Don't worry, be happy with document imaging technology and extraordinary local support from James Imaging Systems. Call 262-781-7700. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Hi, it's John Reitz. At Great Midwest Bank, we live our Simply Giving mission by supporting local causes. Here's Dave Grams, Executive Director of the Alzheimer's Association Wisconsin, with a message about the Walk to End Alzheimer's.
For over 40 years, the Alzheimer's Association has been dedicated to Alzheimer's care, support, and research. Our Walk to End Alzheimer's event is the world's largest fundraiser for Alzheimer's efforts. Your participation helps contribute to dementia care, awareness, and progress towards the devastating disease. There are 27 walks across the state of Wisconsin this fall. Join us at Milwaukee's Lakefront on September 17th. It's the 18th largest walk in the nation. Walk for someone in your life living with dementia. Together, we can walk toward a future without Alzheimer's.
Thanks, Dave. Find a walk near you and sign up for the Walk to End Alzheimer's at alz.org/walk. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local, simply giving, equal housing lender.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. Jason Wilde is brought to you by Boucher Automotive, where we ride with you every mile. 18 dealerships, 15 brands, and thousands of vehicles in stock. Check them out at Boucher.com.
Everybody needs information about the Green Bay Packers from Jason Wilde every day of the year. Even Brian Bulaga, who says, I want Jason Wilde on Thursday to talk about the upcoming game. I am accurate in stating that. Correct, Brian?
Very correct.
Yep.
Very correct. There's no better man. He's boots on the ground. He's in the building. He understands what's going on. He's at practice. He knows what's going on there. So there's no better person to have on to kind of discuss the pulse of the team midweek.
Right.
It's a perfect time.
You take over. Go ahead. Any questions you have for Jason Wilde, fire away, Dr. Bulaga. Let's go.
Well, unlike Homer, I'm going to say, Jason, good evening. That's something that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So
it's your hour. Fine. You just lost 30 seconds. We can never get back, but that's all right.
I get it. Okay. So, Jason, real quick, appreciate you coming on. I guess we all saw the injury report today. Aaron Jones did not participate. Kind of what's kind of the what are you kind of hearing of? Do you think he's going to go? Do you think he's not going to go? Is LaFleur let the cat out of the bag at all? That he's going to try to do some work tomorrow? What are you hearing about that?
Yeah, so he did do, and thanks for having me, Brian. I appreciate you, and of course I appreciate the GOATs of Wisconsin sports talk, the greatest of all time, Homer. But look, a couple things here. One, Adam Stenavich spoke this afternoon. And, they played without Christian Watson last week. They obviously adjusted some things. They played some young guys who, neither Malik Heath nor Dontavion Wicks had catches. They basically used them, more or less in running situations because they limited Romeo Dobbs' snaps as well, played Jaden Reed a lot. They're going to have to do that again if Aaron Jones isn't available. Now, Aaron Jones did not practice today. He did have his helmet, and he did do some work inside the Hudson Center. And I guess I would defer to you as someone who has dealt with injuries in the past. He's at a point in his career, like David and like you were, where you don't necessarily need all week of practice, but you would like to at least get some Friday work. So if he's able to do something tomorrow, that would be encouraging. But talking to Steno today, he made it very clear that they just have to move to the next guy, and if there are certain things that he said, and I'll read you the quote, we may not have some things if Aaron Jones isn't playing, obviously, but we may have others for other guys. Now, I don't know how much, Emmanuel Wilson can help them. He obviously had a good preseason, but if you look last week, Emmanuel Wilson, despite being on the 53-man roster, was inactive, and Patrick Taylor, who was technically on the practice squad and was called up as a game day elevation, was active because he's a special teams guy. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach the roster if Aaron Jones can't go on Sunday.
So a bigger role for Dillon is what we're looking at then, right? I think a lot of the people were concerned after week one. Does Dillon fit the scheme? I know Homer and I had a lot of people asking us about that on Monday. And here we go, right? He's going to get a bigger role probably this weekend, and they're going to have to rely on him, would be my guess.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity for him. I mean, again, I like to, not so much with Tausch because he talks enough, but with guys like you who have played and had long careers, there are crucial moments in every guy's career, right? Like, you were a first-round pick. We knew you were good. You came in when Tausch got hurt in 2010, and you played right away and played well. But this is a contract year for A.J. Dillon. He's coming off of a year where he admitted to me during the offseason that he was pressing and he was thinking about his next contract. And he married a Green Bay girl. His in-laws have that nice place up in Door County. He wants to play for the Packers long term, and he allowed that to really distract him. And so he said he was taking a fresh approach to this season, but quite frankly, I didn't think he was very impressive in the first game against the Bears. He wasn't very productive. He took a couple of really hard hits, and he's usually the one who's dishing out the punishment, not receiving it. So if he does have to carry the load, because if they don't have Jones, he does need to do that. I mean, Emmanuel Wilson was a great preseason story. I'm sure he can contribute in some ways, but I am always leery of an undrafted free agent from a Division II school having to do too much of the heavy lifting at whatever position it might be. So it will be, if Jones doesn't practice tomorrow, I would predict that he'll probably do a little bit. If he does, he'll probably be listed as questionable, and then maybe he plays on a snap count like they did with Romeo Doubs last week.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, but obviously we don't know. Probably in the Hudson Center doing stuff with Nate and Flea and kind of with Gizzy.
Now, when you were a player, would you know, like, given this situation, do you think they kind of know if he's going to play or how much he's going to play based on whatever the practices are like? Not that you would tell Jason or anybody, but do you think the players, offensive players, know how much if Aaron Jones is going to play today?
Yes. I think the guys have an idea. I'm pretty sure they do. If the hammy's bad, right, like if they know he's not going to be able to play, they have a pretty good idea about that. That's been communicated in the meetings and offensive meetings and the O-line room. I mean, that stuff is communicated. If it's true 50-50, right, like it's up in the air, we're going to give him all the way to Sunday is what LaFleur always says. We're going to give him all the way to Sunday. And it truly is 50-50, then, there's a chance that he goes. You don't really know. You're hoping. I would imagine that, but they know pretty well right now what's going on with him. And if he was actually doing work inside the Hudson today, that's an encouraging sign. At least whenever it would be me and I was doing that, if I did work inside the Hudson, that normally meant I'm trying to get ready to go for Sunday. That would normally be the sign. If you weren't going to go, you probably would still be up in the training room getting treatment done. Chances are. So at least that's me. So, Jason, were you in the locker room after the Bears game?
No, I went to the head coach and the quarterback, but the room that they do those interviews in is adjacent to the locker room, and I know that there were some road games when I was traveling for most of your career where I could hear the excitement after you guys won a big road game. And this one was right up there with some of the most excited locker rooms. Like, it was loud with the cinder block wall in between the locker room and where I was. So I can only imagine how loud and exciting it was inside.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was going to be my question was the mood inside that locker room had to have been fantastic, right? I mean, it had to have been a great, and I'm sure you've kind of felt that as this week's gone along. I'm sure that same positivity, that kind of, hey, we got something rolling here. It's kind of the same way you felt talking to these guys and being in the locker room after practice is gone. And even on the field, you see how guys behave on the field during warm-ups, during practice. There's a different energy to it, I'd imagine.
There is, but it is interesting. And look, you were never on a team that is quite as young as this one, and it is almost as if, Steno was talking today about how it's just one game. LaFleur has said that multiple times throughout the week. So I don't know if that is we know the Bears stink and we can't be getting too excited about what we did against the team that we're pretty sure is bad, or we just need to keep these young guys kind of grounded, because it's easy to get really excited about a game where you score 38 points and the Bears were really dominated by you on both sides of the ball and in special teams. I'm not sure what the reasoning is. I do know this, and I don't think LaFleur meant to say this, but it was clear when he said it. He said this week is going to be a much bigger challenge. That if you take the connotation of that, it's the Bears aren't very good. These guys are much better than the Bears are. And so I do think that they feel like this is going to be a greater challenge, but there is an excitement. There's a lot of guys in that locker room that have been very pro Jordan Love. I would say that other guys that are veterans, on defense, or David or a few others, there's not that many veterans left, frankly. But I think they were more wait and see. They weren't necessarily pessimistic about Jordan, but I think they were like, all right, I want to see what he does when the games count, kind of like you and I talked about one of the many times you filled in for Tausch, that, preseason's preseason. So this was a step of either bolstering the confidence that the young guys already had in their quarterback, or maybe bringing out a little confidence in some of the more veteran players who are taking a wait-and-see approach. But he's got to keep it up, man. If he goes out there this week against the Falcons and looks like he doesn't know what he's doing or makes a lot of mistakes, then there's going to be still that kind of, all right, he's a young quarterback, he's inexperienced, that's what comes with the territory.
But, Jason, I ask you and Brian both, this is a young, cocky team. They are a cocky team. I think they're going to be that way all year, and that's kind of who they are, and that's why I've said it's kind of Jair Alexander. Do you think that's the case? I think all year there's going to be, hey, these guys, they're too positive, or I just think they got a lot of energy. They're young, and I think they're a little brash. Now, that not the offense necessarily in the quarterback, but I'm anticipating all year long a question being, man, they're crazy. Like they're just out of control. Do you agree or not?
Yeah, I would say that that's definitely true of the corners. Rasul Douglas and Jair Alexander do not lack for confidence at all, and they also behave that way on the field, right? I mean, there were some little fisticuffs or scrums during the Bears game, and I saw a picture of Jair signing autographs while the game was still going on.
Oh boy!
They are.
Yeah, see, oh boy, we got one. How many Bulaga oh boys are we going to have this year? I'm going with at least 25.
So they definitely have that brashness or that cockiness. There's no doubt. I do think Jordan Love, and I'm still working to get to know him. Like, obviously, I had 10 years of covering Brian and seeing him in the locker room. It was great. Late in his career, he's the anti-Tausch. Tausch was always available early in his career, and then he started to be very sparse in the locker room when we were in there late in his career. Brian went the opposite direction. He won one of our Mully Awards toward the end of his career. But what's interesting is when I talk to Jordan Love, and again, I don't know him like I knew Brian or Tausch or these other guys, because his first 2 years we weren't even in the locker room. But he strikes me as a guy who is not brash or cocky, but it's more this kind of understated, significant self-confidence. I don't think he doubts himself at all. I think he's got kind of a different personality than Aaron. Like, Aaron knew he was damn good. And he wasn't, I own you, I still own you, et cetera. During the last 5 to 10 years of his career in Green Bay, he had no problem telling you how good he was. But frankly, even when he was on the scout team doing the belt to the starting defense, when Favre was still the quarterback, he had no trouble telling you how good he was. Jordan doesn't carry himself that way, but I don't think he questions his ability. He's just not the Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas, bravado type guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think you kind of see that with his leadership style on the sideline, right? I think at least when they pan to him during the game, obviously after his third touchdown, you saw him and Aaron Jones counting the 1, 2, 3, which is good fun to me. That's just good fun. But I think, again, I've never met Jordan. I was gone the year after, they drafted him. I was gone. So, but he just seems like level-headed. To me, seems level-headed. He is confident in himself because, to be honest, he can make all the throws. He's got a strong arm. He can make all the throws. He can move. I think he's just obviously growing into his own right now is what it kind of looks like, right? He's learning.
He's boring, and he's always going to be boring.
Already? After one game, he's boring?
Yeah, no, I mean, his approach to the stuff, not his play on the field, but I mean, the way he's going to handle himself in the media stuff before games, after games. Yes, I think people should know that he's totally under control at all times and will be viewed as boring. Well, Jason, your final word, agree or disagree?
I hate to use the word boring.
Okay, what's a better one? I'll let you come up with a better one. Controlled?
Reserved.
Yep, I'll go with reserved.
Controlled, that works too. Yep.
Nope, we'll go with reserved. Thanks, Jason.
All right, guys, take care. Be good.
Yes.
Thanks, Jason.
Dr. Bulaga, do you like reserved better than boring?
I do. I like reserved better than boring. I don't like boring.
All right.
I don't like boring.
Jordan Love, reserved. Fourth quarter, next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN. Whether it's live or in podcast form, you've heard us on air with all of our shenanigans.
Gabe, I'm throwing some. Why are you throwing? I don't want.
Now see your favorite 94.5 ESPN shows streaming on video.
Made by me, by the way. I hit that microphone like 4 out of 6 times on that.
Subscribe to ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube and get notified when we hit the air live. Plus, you can watch back any second that you miss and see original digital content too. Watch, listen, interact. ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
An ESPN Radio Extra Point with Harry Douglas.
When you're early on in your career, you're wet behind the ears still and your breath smelling like Similac and all that good stuff. You don't really care what you play on because you're just go, and your body feels great. But as you start to get a little older, you've had injuries, you've had surgeries, you understand how that turf takes a toll on your body. But I can honestly tell you, there's a lot of fast people in the National Football League that I knew that preferred playing on grass because it's just better for your joints. It's better for your bones. It's better for your body. And when I was in Atlanta, man, we had a guy we drafted named Kerry Meyer at the wide receiver position. And I promise you, Freddie, I thought Kerry could have had a massive career.
Okay.
But Kerry was running down on kickoff coverage during a preseason game and planted one time and tore his ACL. Never was the same. Career was over.
Football is back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, has you covered. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Plus, all customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. New customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code OUTCOME. Bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly in bonus bets. That's code OUTCOME. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
It's time for the Ortho ASAP Minute from Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
Dr. Mike Jarkson joins me. Doctor, what makes the Spine Center at OAW such a special place?
What I think makes it the best in the state is the fact that we can do everything under one roof. What I mean by that is we have a number of providers. All of us are here to evaluate the problem, diagnose the problem. We have x-rays, we have MRIs. We can then go on and treat the problem all under the same roof with physical therapy, if that's what it requires. We have a number of great spine specialist physical therapists. We also have a surgery center where, if necessary, we can arrange injections. And finally, if it comes to it, we can do surgery in this building as well, especially minimally invasive type procedures that get people healed with a quicker recovery period.
The Ortho ASAP Minute is sponsored by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Heading up north this summer for some golf? Be sure to book a tee time at the Ball Golf Course, an Arnold Palmer masterpiece just north of Milwaukee on the way to Calder. It's the best destination for your next Wisconsin round of golf. Enjoy golf. Enjoy the Bog.
Every child deserves a safe, loving, and permanent home. Help the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption find families for children who've lingered in foster care the longest. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Monday and Thursday, it's with Brian Bulaga, your newest quick road trip, American Place Casino in Lake County, Illinois, half hour south of Franklin. A half hour south of Franklin. Did I tell you a half hour south of Franklin? American Place Casino. They have exciting table games, blackjack, craps, roulette, newest slot machines. They have a sports book opening soon. A half hour south of Franklin, American Place Casino, located in Lake County, Illinois. Go to AmericanPlace.com for the latest promotions and events every month. American Place Casino. How far from Franklin? 30 minutes. With Brian Bulaga, we have our Discount Liquor Twitter poll question. Brian, you get to vote. By the way, I love your phrase. Oh, boy. Oh,
yeah.
Boy. Have I gotten an oh, boy yet? I'm sure you're going to. I'm at 25.
Okay.
In the first game for the Packers, I don't know what, a couple of their penalties that you kind of went, oh, boy. Or not.
Yeah, there were a couple. There were a couple that I went, oh, boy, on. Yeah, I did. There were a couple. That's kind of my go-to. That's kind of my go-to.
Right,
oh,
we
boy.
got it. Brian, oh, boy.
Yep.
Oh, boy. We'll get it down exactly. Jordan Love had a quarterback rating of 123.2 last game. What will it be this weekend against the Falcons? 120, 100, 80, or 60? Your vote, please.
I'm going to go 100.
You
go 100.
You are a typical Packer fan or person on Twitter. 61% said 100. I said 100 as well. Only 8% say 120. 23.5% said 80. And 8% said 60. I'm pretty sure he's going to go over 60. But you talked about it with Jason a little bit, and that is it's a whole different offense, I think, without Aaron Jones, especially when you don't have Christian Watson, because those are arguably the two most explosive parts of the offense. Agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Atlanta, when they're scheming this week, I mean, they're trying to figure the guy they're trying to stop is Aaron Jones, right? Like he can play him out wide, he can be in the backfield, they can move him all over the place. He's a guy that they're keen on. So if he isn't available and Watson's not available, that makes life a little bit easier for the Falcons defense.
If the Packers are 2-0, regardless of how they win against Atlanta, how close it is, will you then say the Packers will make the playoffs, or will it still be too early?
Well, my bold prediction on Wilde and Tausch a week ago was saying that they were going to have the last 3 games of the season. They were going to win out to make the playoffs. So I'm sticking with it.
Have they done anything, and it's just one game, that surprised you?
No, not yet. Not yet. I mean, I right now it's looking good from what I've seen. I'm just hoping it continues.
Now, I'm not your mom, but I would like to know sometime next week how many credit hours short of a degree you are. You can look that up.
I think it's 28.
28. Oh.
Yeah.
I think I can get a master's with 28. Pebble, you know anything about how many credit hours you need for a master's?
No clue.
No clue. All right. Well, you get 28. I'll do 28. I look forward to your answer, though it doesn't need to be next week. You have maybe the whole season to decide.
Yes. I'm going to need it.
Yeah, I take that as a no. But you can. I think we're gonna have to get your mom on the show once. Thanks, the professor of football, Brian Bulaga. Oh boy, yes, you got 2 in there. We'll talk on Monday. Thanks. The Homer Hour tomorrow. Gary Ellerson and Fat Jack and Jeff from Jeff Sports. Busy Friday. Close.
Delays continue. We have an accident on 94 eastbound at 84th Street. It's got cars on either side of the road, so be careful of that. And then, of course, it's going to stay heavy all the way through the stadium interchange. Westbound, we've got that accident on the ramp to 175